Hey, thanks for tuning in. This one's going to be about basically the cleanup phase after you do a wash, or some might consider it the first highlight. So basically, this fella has got his red was painted a base coat and it's been washed, and now I'm just going to come back in and do like your first highlight, but really it's more of a touch-up phase because you're coming back in with the original color again and painting that in. And so right now I'm just using the new Mephiston red. I want to see if it matches up for what scab red would be, more or less. For these guys, it might be a little bit brighter than the scab, but I'm not too worried about it because these guys are going to get the old red ink wash anyhow. So this might be, this is a little bit of a brighter red than what I would normally use, but that old red ink really does a number on many highlights that you've done anyways, so I'm not too worried about it making a big effect. So I'm just coming in more or less and doing a little bit of lining, a little bit of highlighting where the light points are hitting this guy. Nothing too mind-boggling happening here. Some people like to outline completely the areas of the model that almost like you're outlining like a picture that you're coloring or whatever. I don't like to do that usually. I like to do a little bit more of a sketch kind of thing where I think that the light is reflecting, which I'm using the directional lighting of my actual lighting here, and using that basically as a guideline as to where I think that the light's going to hit it. On these Chaos guys, it's kind of funny sometimes because they got all the lines to work from, and if you just outline it, I find it looks kind of funny. The Games Workshop Masterclass guys do a good job of it and everything, but it's not what I can do, so this is how I do it. I suppose if you compare it to people who are using airbrushes, I'm kind of using that same theory a little bit, where you're taking your actual, your light's coming down from this way, so you're highlighting the top and not everywhere around it, because then it looks like you're outlining the thing. I'm using a fairly thin down with water paint to do it. If it's too thick, you get a really chunky look. When it's fairly thin, it's forgiving. It's easier to come back once or twice and touch it up that way, instead of messing it up once and then needing to come in and really do a lot of work on it. Again, with these word bearers in particular, it doesn't really matter if I get a bright highlight or if it looks a little extreme to what you would normally do on a model, because I'm coming back in with the old Games Workshop red ink afterwards, this stuff in the old flip top pots, and coming over the whole model again to give it that old word bearer feel. It's not something they make anymore, so it can be a little bit of a pain to get a hold, but originally that's what they used to do the word bearers with. So if you want that kind of true word bearer look, you sort of need that ink. Or you can make some. I'm sure if someone got a hold of the like FW acrylic inks and did an ink wash, or made an ink wash like Awesome Paint Job recipes, I'm sure you could do something along those lines without actually having that stuff anymore. But fortunately, I got a few pots of it handy, so I don't have to worry about that too much. find myself as I'm doing these things wondering if anyone watching these things is actually getting anything out of it. So feel free to let me know in the comments if you're getting anything out of these videos. I know I don't have 1 million subscribers or anything just yet, but I got a few people who are coming on and watching all the time, so I guess you're the ones I'm talking to. Holmesy, I see you on my page a lot. Good to see you, bud. Maybe I'll have to actually meet you and get a game in someday. I don't think I've met you anyways at Games Workshop or anything before. So you can probably see here I've gone more or less around the model once, and now I'm coming back again, sort of reworking the original highlights that I just did. Trying very hard not to hit my silver because that's already done and all my ink has already happened and all that stuff, so the last thing I want to do is mess that stuff up. Then chuck my model across the room in a fit of anger. I'm just going to crank my focus back, or my camera out a bit here. You're probably losing focus a lot. Here, I can work over here now. I'll put it up here so you can look at it. Speaking of chucking your model across the room, I used to have a chum that we used to game with. He's one of, well, I still have a chum. He's one of my best buddies. He was a model thrower. He was one of the ones where you get playing, you know, and you'd be rolling all those ones and all that sort of stuff, and he'd get angry and chuck his model across the room, or at least sort of knock him down on the table. I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm sure he knows who he is. And I always thought it was kind of funny. Put all this time into a model to throw it across the room. Okay, so that's about it really for what I'm doing with this guy. So there he is there. Rinse my brush off. So nothing too crazy going. Hopefully you can see the highlights a little bit that I've gone for. It's a little bit of, you know, edging around here and stuff like that, and then where I've seen the light shine I've picked it up, things like that. What I just did there is really sort of gonna get annihilated really by once I hit it with that red ink. But what I find is if you don't do it and you just come up and do something like your Evil Sunz or something like that, then it's really like a hard line for your highlight, excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and do the Evil Sunz right now. So back in the day I would have used Blood Red for this stage. But I'm go ahead and I'm trying out the new GW colors. Now this one, Evil Sunz, is a base paint. It's one of the base lines. So it's quite heavy. So I'm going to water it down a lot. I would say a 1-to-1 sort of mix. I'm just using a CD for my palette here. So you can see this is the Blood Red, this is the color I just used, so quite a large difference. But I'm just going to water it down again and work it twice, more or less. Okay, and we'll have a look at this too. So this one, it's you know, a third highlight or whatever. It's a lot more extreme. Yet I don't want to hit a whole lot of areas here. I like to do kind of L-shaped lines, or your hard line, just outlining the model a little bit. I guess this is where I do more of the extreme lining, a lot like Games Workshop would typically paint something in the magazine or whatever. Because something that's a really extreme highlight, you're not going to see it, I don't think, typically in the middle of a model or whatever anyway. I try not to hit any areas that I don't think light would reflect. Not that I am a pro on lighting sources or anything. But I think I paint a decent enough model. Although every time I go on Cool Mini or not, I change my mind. Have anybody checked out the crystal brush competition that Cool Mini or not did? There's some crazy, amazing painters that go into that stuff. But you can't let it get you down, you know? That's inspiration, that stuff, to paint your things. I do like it about Chaos is that it's fairly forgiving in some of the highlights you do. If you end up doing kind of tricky stuff and making a funny line on your guy, you just work with it and turn it into a star or a little bit of a demon face looking kind of thing or whatever. Because they're Chaos, man. You can do that kind of stuff. I'll try to keep it on frame this time. One of my comments on the last video were saying, hey, it'd be a good idea if you kept your model in the shot. Which I would agree to. But I'm new at this. And I don't have a monitor yet either, up on the, on the wall kind of thing that I can have a little peek at and see where I'm at. One day. So at this point I've more or less 360'd the model. I've gone all the way around him. He's got a little bit of the red highlight on there. And then I'm going to come back around and this time really try to only hit high spots. Just to kind of do a little fake blend.